some non-local produce as well, because our main priority is to increase access to healthy food for everybody year round. So we offer everything on a sliding scale. So we pay all of the farmers that we work with a fair wholesale price, but we sell it to our participants at a reduced rate so that they can access awesome local food. Since the pandemic started, we've been doing a little bit of an adapted model. So we're still doing this, we're still packing bags for our members, our member base, but we're also working with other organizations to pack bags for them. And we're bringing bulk food out to communities, mainly a handful in the Navajo Nation, including Rama, Crown Point, Huerfano. Then we're starting to work with Zuni Pueblo, Jemez Pueblo, and Sandia Pueblo as well. So we're bringing, in some cases, pre-packed bags of food, in other cases, bulk food, again, prioritizing local purchasing and local producing.
Great, thank you, Shelby. And then from New Mexico Community Capital, we have Peter Holter, Jake Foreman, and Vicky. Whoever would like to go first, talk a little bit about Community Capital and the programs there.
We also have Liz Gamboa, who is our managing director. She's on the road, so I'm not sure about her availability there or not. But anyway, I'll lead it off here. New Mexico Community Capital is a nonprofit organization that has as its mission bringing the tools for success to emerging Native businesses of all sizes.
Join the meeting.
From micro business right on up to larger businesses. And we have as one of our points of focus, agriculture. And Jake will talk a little bit more about this in a second. You know, my own background is I worked with large commercial producers in California, and everything from almonds to peaches to pears to lettuce to avocados to beef to eggs. And so my background is really the business side of farming. And then more recently, I was for 8 years the CEO of Holistic Management International, which was a international nonprofit dealing with sustainable agricultural practices. Again, looking at how to bring sustainability to farming. And so that's by way of background. We currently have funding from the USDA, from the Native American Agricultural Fund, and W.K. Kellogg Foundation, among others. And we are standing ready to help farmers in this room and your colleagues bring to, you know, we want to bring to the table the things that you feel you need to improve the performance of your business and to create greater levels of sustainability. It's great to be here tonight and look forward to your questions, your dialogue. And I'm going to turn it over to Jake so he can talk a little bit more in detail. Thanks.
Thank you, Peter. Thank you for that introduction. Hi ho, mabuhay. My name is Henry Jake Foreman. I'm absentee Shawnee from Oklahoma, as well as Filipino and Scots-Irish. Come from background of farmers, both on my mom's side, starting in the Philippines and then working in the sugarcane plantations in Hawaii. And we have a small farm out there. And then on my dad's side, my Shawnee side, we came out to New Mexico to be the farm manager at the Navajo Industrial School in the 1920s. So I always say, I always wanted to be a farmer, and my family always said, no, go to school and get your degree. And I did that, and I still want to be a farmer. But through this process, I've been able to work with New Mexico Community Capital. I teach a financial and business basics course. And really the essence of that is around digital literacy and learning. And we learned a lot for 3 years working on this grant through the Kellogg Foundation. And we're hoping to bring what we learned from this program to working with Native farmers, specifically around building farm plans, understanding your cost of production, putting together a schedule, all using the Google Workplace. And so we have a special partnership with Google with their Grow with Google program, as well as a Google Cloud partner. So we're really excited to bring the best of technology, but also bring that indigenous wisdom and that place-based knowledge, and really work in partnership with everyone here and with other Native farmers. And so we look forward to continuing our work, and just really grateful to Keegan and Vicky for putting this this night together. So thank you.
Thanks, Jake. I'm Vicky Pazabon. I have a consulting company called Prospera Partners, and I work with New Mexico Community Capital and have been a mentor for many years to the Native Entrepreneur in Residence program. And Keegan and I were paired up in that program when he was working on his business plan. So really grateful to
join the meeting.
I've been involved in local food and farming work for over 12 years now around New Mexico and in other places around the country that are really looking to grow their local economy through food and agriculture and food-based businesses, and started an organization here called Delicious New Mexico, which is based in the South Valley in Albuquerque. And that has grown into a distribution program, and really excited to work on this USDA project and grow native farming and native farming businesses. So I look forward to hearing more from you all this evening too.
Thanks, Vicky. Thanks, everyone. So we're going to go ahead and spend a little bit of time with other participants in the room tonight. So if you can, let's just go around, name where you're from and your farming location. So anybody wanting to go first, go ahead.
You may need to call on people, Keegan, in terms of the order.
I can go. My name is Julian Nicole. I work with Raymond Navajo Chapter Natural Resources Office. I'm the Outreach Education Coordinator, and we've been working with MoGrow and Vegan Outreach with getting food out here to our command center. We're part of the emergency response team. But also in our regular scope of work, we provide educational outreach, farm and ranch development plans. And with the pandemic, it's really become apparent what a food desert we have, especially when we had the earlier shutdowns of Gallup. It really hurt this community's access to food, especially to fresh food. So one of the things that we were able to do is we got a grant from the state to get our own refrigerated trailer. And in the future, when we did this grant, in the future, we were looking at developing a local food system here for Rama Navajo communities and the connecting communities of Rama Valley and some subdivisions. The Rama Navajo School Board Center for Health Promotion did have a grant a few years ago where they developed over 3 football fields of farming land, was redeveloped either in home gardens or previously farmland that was dormant, and the family started growing again. With the pandemic, though, a lot of those families didn't plant because they relied on our office and the school board's program to help with planning. And since we didn't offer that with the shutdowns, one of the things that we did do is we did manage to get food garden boxes donated that people came and set up. We got seedlings out to people, and we got seeds donated and that we handed out to families. But like I said, looking in the future, one of our main things is developing our local food source spaces, not just for our farmers, but also for our livestock producers as well. And looking at becoming a source where local producers can come and get their items processed and packaged and for resale, and that could happen. And like I said, we've been working on MoGrow, and that's one of the things that we talked about looking at, is doing something similar to their program where we could bring in food and then at a discounted price, make it accessible to people here in the area.
That's great. Thank you, Juliana, so much for joining us, and thank you for your work. I know the emergency command at all of the tribes and chapters have been working overtime to meet the need through COVID. And so I really do appreciate all that you're doing to ensure that your community has food. Thank you. And I mean, for every tribal community, including mine at Kuma, early on in the pandemic, we were seeing that there might actually be a complete food shortage. Places where people would traditionally go, either the closest grocery store or a grocery store in Grants, we're even seeing shortages. And then for us to not have our own grocery store was really scary for a lot of residents. And so I think what COVID has done is really reinforce what we've already known, which is we can't continue to go on like this, where we don't have access to fresh food for our people and be reliant on other places.
Yeah, and I think we're still in that situation. For instance, the local grocery store at Pine Hill Market, it's a small grocery store, but it was shut down because they had an employee test positive. So for 2 weeks, that store was gone, and we were limited just to the trading posts and a local foods grocery store over by El Moro, which really limited. And then, like you said, when we get to town, we have to stand in line, and half the time, by the time we get there, inventory is gone, and people don't get what they need.
Yeah, it's been really hard. Thank you, Juliana. Others that are with us tonight, your name, where are you from, either your current farming location or where you'd like to be farming in the new year. I'm just going to go down the list. Bryce Townsend, are you able to tell us a little more about yourself?
Yeah, hello everybody. Are you able to hear me?
Yeah.
Bryce Townsend. I am farming out of San Felipe Pueblo. My farm is Black Mesa Farm, and I grow a variety of green and root vegetables. My focus is to grow organically, organic practices, and using a raised bed drip irrigation system. So currently I'm working on a young farmer mentorship program here on the tribe. So I'm going to be recruiting 3 young farmers for the upcoming growing season. And we'll be using my farm as a model farm to have them become possible farmers for our tribe. So that's what I'm working on right now. And I just wanted to say hello to Jake and Jose. How are you guys doing? Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Bryce. We appreciate it. Black Mesa Farm in San Felipe. It's exciting to hear about your youth training program. I'd love to hear more about it offline and see how you're working with our young people. Let's see, who else? Donna Ben, are you available? Can you unmute yourself? Tell us about yourself.
Hi, can you hear me?
We can.
Okay, I'm in Phoenix, Arizona, and I actually work for a company, and we have different programs in our organization, and some of it is cooking, canning, and we help people start community gardens. A lot of it's community gardens, and then just off of that, we also have classes where they can cook what they grow. And then on top of that, we used to do when we were still able to get out, we're getting out to the different communities, and we used to cook what they have growing in their what do you call it, their tribes. I work with all the tribes in Arizona, New Mexico, Colorado, and California. And so
That's exciting.
Yeah, so it's been pretty fun. And yesterday I did a Zoom with I can't remember FAO, but they were just I think over like 200 people, and they were talking about everybody, just like, gosh, all over the world, and it's all about foods, and that was fun. It was fun and very informative, and but anyhow, that's what I do, and I'm just like scattered brain right now.
What is the organization called that you work for?
I'm with partnership with Native Americans.
Okay.
Yeah. So I do a lot of stuff with them, and always do we have other stuff that we do, and learning stuff, workshops and stuff too. So put all that stuff together. And today I was just calling back, doing all the follow-ups with all the the community gardens that we had, and then there was and a lot of them are still going. And there's one like somewhere in Gallup, and that lady branched out to helping about, oh my gosh, probably like 20 families, and another one branched out. That one's doing like 4 families. And so it's really neat to see, and work with a lot of native chefs as well too. And so they do a lot of just like your organics and just all the stuff that grows. So, but it's really neat to work with the chefs too, native chefs from all over too.
Yeah.
I'm really enjoying it. And then so I saw this one, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna jump on this one too. This one's, I'm not, what's let's see what the difference between is like organics or fresh or and I don't know. I do have one of my kids is vegan, and so so he likes all this stuff. I mean, to me, they're side foods, but I mean, I enjoy making all this stuff. Today I had like cauliflower, fried cauliflower with let's see, they had like a topping on it. So it was a huge cauliflowers, and then they have all different their own mayo and all that stuff, and some corn tortillas, and it was a taco.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So
we're happy. Yeah, no, we're happy to have you, Donna, on the call. Like, we'll be sure to keep in touch and learn a little bit more.
Yeah. And
awesome. Thank you, Donna. See Emma Dewey. Emma, are you able to unmute and tell us about yourself, where you're farming or where you might farm?
Yeah, hi everyone. My name is Emma Dewey. I am in Albuquerque, but I actually work for a nonprofit called the Center of Southwest Culture. We are working with a lot of indigenous farmers across New Mexico. I think this year we have something like 10 to 12 new farmers that came on board just because of the pandemic and people realizing how important reestablishing these food systems is and has been. So basically what we do at our nonprofit is train farmers. We assist them with farm plans. We were actually very heavily influenced by Mr. James Skeet at Spirit Farm, who I see is also on the call, so hello. We are teaching our farmers regenerative agriculture practices. So yeah, we kind of are on this call because we're really interested in collaborating with other organizations, trying to help farmers find new markets, build their capacity to create their own CSAs, build farmers markets in their areas, anything that we can do to help get more local healthy food access to the pueblos in New Mexico. So nice to meet you all.
Good to meet you, Emma. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for the Center for Southwest Culture. We've worked with them in the past, and I appreciate everything you guys do. Thank you. Jake, we had you. James Skeet, are you on? Can you unmute? Tell us about yourself.
This is James's wife, Joyce. Hi, Emma, Jose, and Jake. I know Jake. Yeah, we have a small farm, Spirit Farm, south of Gallup and Vanderwagen. We're limited by water, so we're doing everything we can to really increase productivity in this year. And the whole foundation of our farm is a regenerative type approach. We look at the microbes and grind and putting microbial compost on our gardens, and we're busting at the seam with produce this year. So we really feel comfortable, ready to expand as more water comes in. So we'll just kind of see what happens there. But we've really thrown our focus into getting a lot of growers across the whole Navajo Nation, both in New Mexico and out into Arizona, starting their own little mini farms. And so right now we're probably working with close to 30 and got another 10 wanting to get started up. They start little gardens, chickens, some going into pigs, little hoop houses, and teaching them how to compost and things like that. So yeah, thank you.
That's awesome. Thank you, Joyce. Jose Castro, can you tell us about yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. Buenas noches, everyone. My name is Jose Manuel Castro Lopez. I work with Emma, so everything that she said is true. We do work with indigenous people. We work with Mexicano people. Our efforts is really to focus and try to get more markets for everyone. Really depending on where they are in the state. You know, some people are easier if they're in the South Valley, Isla Pueblo, Jemez, than people who are out there. But it's a pleasure to be here. Like Emma said, we're just really happy to get to meet so many people and get to meet some new people. And it's also awesome to see a lot of faces and names on this call. I highly appreciate it. And thank you so much for having me here.
Thank you, Jose. Julian Cotta.
It's not working. Good evening, everybody. My name is Julian Cotta. I am from Santa Clara Pueblo. I was very interested with this meeting, so I decided to join. I currently go to Eastern New Mexico University. I am working on a environmental science degree right now. So thank you. Thank you for having me.
That's great. Thank you, Julian. I got to speak with Governor Chavarria today. Really excited about working with farmers up in Santa Clara and Espanola area. So glad to have you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's see. Natani Garnanez, are you with us? Can you unmute yourself?
Hi, my name's Keanu, but I'm speaking for Natani and I. We're both partners on a project right now, working with each other.
Cool.
But let me introduce myself. Atesh Keanu John, Nisha, non-anesthesia, Nishle, Tatna Sani Bashachin, Kathleen Yasuche, Toglin National. Right now I reside in Santa Fe. Tewa Land is where I'm at right now. And Natani, we're both from the Shiprock community area. Right now he's residing in Hogback, New Mexico. So the project that him and I decided to pull together is that, well, one is that he's a graduate of Kansas State University, master's program in architecture. And I'm a recent graduate too with Fort Lewis College Environmental Studies program with a minor in adventure education. And he has a minor in public planning. And so we kind of figured out, like, trying to come together, put our heads together for this project that we have, mostly kind of based in agriculture and architecture on the Navajo Nation. Because like a lot of recent graduates from impoverished communities, right, there's not a lot of incentives to keeping us there, you know, not a lot of ability for us to exercise what it is that we learned, you know, after we left. So this program is twofold, right? It's to address that issue. Number one is, you know, food deserts, like lack of access to nutritional foods in communities. The other one is to address this issue of recent graduates, high school and college graduates, to kind of give them more work experience in the field. And also thinking about expanding that into maybe, you know, postgraduate students who want to kind of like have access to places where they can put their ideas and implement them a little bit. So the idea is trying to create a space that is both educational and also provides a necessity in the Shiprock area. And so trying to figure that out. We're still trying to hash out what it is we're trying to do with the program or what it is we really want to do. So we thought this Zoom meeting would kind of point us in the right direction of like, okay, yeah, that sounds like a cool idea. All right, let's do this. So yeah, his background with architecture and planning and my background with youth development and team building, I think is kind of like where we're kind of headed towards what this program is going to do. Yeah, so it's kind of like why we're here today.
That's really exciting, Keanu. Thank you. And thank you, Natani, for joining us tonight. We've seen a huge number of ag projects happening in the Shiprock area. I know that Chiliazi has been pulling together a farmers co-op, and some of that food has been going out to folks through COVID, families in need this year. So I'm really excited to talk with you, and especially about your youth development work. Thank you. Rebecca Riley?
Greetings, everyone. It's nice to see you all. I was trying to see if I could get my partner on too, but he's trying to help one of our children with something right now. So I'll try to do him and I justice right now. But my partner is Justin Casaquito, and he's an organic farmer from the Pueblo of Jemez, and he has been gardening, I want to say, over 15 years, and has been involved in a lot of various projects through his garden, farm to school, revitalizing traditional farming practices of the Pueblo of Jemez. Um, while he was getting his degree at the University of New Mexico, trying to link UNM students to farming practices and get them involved in community projects. So, I mean, the list goes on, and I hope I did him a little bit of due diligence with, the amazing work that he's been doing over, over the decade or so. But the reason why I wanted to join too was, farming and gardening has always been something really close to my heart. My grandfather was a gardener. So I literally grew up in and around gardening until he passed away when I was, a teenager, a senior in high school. So my earliest memories were of that, and that's always just been something really passionate and supportive of farmers and gardeners, and while my work is in early childhood, for the past 10 years or so, I've worked directly with families and children. And part of my nonprofit work, while I was the director of a tribal home visiting program, was trying to access and help expose families, Native families in New Mexico who were in Albuquerque or the surrounding tribes to experiences of farming and gardening. So we would bring presenters in, or we would try to provide them resources on, through like MoGrow and food boxes. So that was a little piece of, what I really thought was important when trying to gain, access for families, trying to advocate to make, organic produce or goods affordable, accessible, and trying to support, other families that wanted for that to be part of, their children's lives. And so, on a personal level, besides Justin's or our garden that he has in Jemez, we've been trying to build our own urban gardening here on the little bit of land that we have at our home, in trying to figure out, how to establish, sustainable gardening as a family unit. And so, those are some of the projects that, we've definitely been that has been very important to us, throughout our family's journey too. So, but thank you, and it's really great to see everybody tonight.
Thank you, Rebecca. Thank you, Cass. We really excited to have this discussion with you and learn from you. I know, Justin, you've been doing it probably the longest, and I also know that Justin put together some hoop houses out in Jemez. So I think in terms of technical assistance and for folks that are looking at season extension, we have to look no further than people on this call tonight. So thank you. Let's see. And we have Tim Chavez. Tim, are you able to unmute yourself?
Can you hear me?
Okay, we can hear you, Tim. Oh, we lost you. Can you unmute yourself?
Hi.
Kuma,
Okay.
can you hear me?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I did the introduction. Okay. We're a small family farm here located here at Pueblo of Acoma called the NQR farm. And somebody might ask what this NQR farm stands for. Not quite ready. We normally hit the growers market in the village of Rama. And the two co-managers of the growers market there, the guy used to work on a commercial watermelon farm in Phoenix. So when we took our watermelon or melon down there, he would always come back with not quite ready statement. But before we would leave the market, Mrs. would give him money, go get some melons from NQR. So that name stuck with us. So we enjoy using NQR farm. This year we had 14 varieties of vegetables that we grew, along with the help of Saint Isidore, patron saint of farmers. We harvested over 2,000 pounds of produce.
That's
we
amazing.
would have normally taken that produce to the growers market, but because we had the this pandemic going on, we fed our community. And that really made it worthwhile. You know, nobody didn't stop by to help cultivate, but that didn't stop us to share the produce with folks. And some changes that we made, we were missing chili, cucumbers, tomatillos, and tobacco this year because we just couldn't do too much this year. And some of the things that we had to deal with this year, not only the lockdown of the Pueblo, but we had a normally high population of migrating birds that really took care of our apricot crop. And they stayed around to take care of some of the peach crop that we had. Those little birds really they would really devour the fruit on that. We also have a small 35 tree orchard that what we're doing is we're running the family farm, family garden spot that was put down to my youngest sister, who has two young men who are not interested in farming or anything like that. So I asked her if I can I run the family orchard and use the land for farming. And we had to go through the whole process of getting under legal status, you know, even though my sister said, yeah, go ahead and use it. We couldn't just, so we have a 25-year lease on that land. I think we're about 12, 13 years into the 25-year lease. So because the land sat idle for a long time, a lot of the rodents also moved in. Like this year, I trapped 15 squirrels. And And where we're located, we get some of the water from the Rio San Jose. So water is precious out here. But I caught 30 gophers this year. And hopefully I don't lose that water to the burrow systems that they have in place. You know, I've gone almost 2 weeks now without catching no more gophers. I think I've done what I can with the gophers. And the reason why we farm is I'm a Vietnam combat vet, and I use farming as a therapy. So it keeps me going. Health issues, they've really gone on the better side because I'm staying pretty active with the farming operation. With the water shortage this year, our tribe needed some water for a construction site. So they cut our irrigation water by October 1st. And we really didn't get our first frost till the end of October. So we lost out on 4 weeks of growing. Right now I have, during the summer, we got some fingerling potatoes through the food pantry. So there was a few that I put in the ground, and I've got those growing right now. And I also put in a garlic patch, and those are going right now. So, but the garlic won't be ready till June or July of next year. So,
well,
but we try to keep busy.
Well, it sounds like it. 15 squirrels, 30 gophers. Thank you, Mr. Chavez. It's sounds like a really busy but productive year for you. Thank you for joining us tonight.
Yeah, you know, one thing that I did with the melon crop this year, rather than concentrating on native melon, we went with ones that are a little bit, have a little longer storage shelf life, like casabas. You know, and they last a little bit longer than the native melon.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we try to make some changes.
Thank you, Mr.
Thanks for
I
having
appreciate
us.
it, for sure. So, folks, I think that we got through everyone. Thank you again for giving us some background on your farms, what your plans are for next year, telling us a little bit about the last growing year. It sounds extremely busy, and especially for folks that were involved with relief efforts, getting food to families that needed it through COVID. Thank you all for that. So we're a little bit behind on the schedule, but I just want to kind of look at this section and see if anything resonates with folks. Here's some open-ended questions. So what are some tools, resources, connections that might help you in 2021? Would you be interested in joining a cooperative that provides technical assistance, tool sharing, or certification? And also, what are some of your goals for either your farm or your farm business or nonprofit in 2021? I think those are the things that we're interested in learning from you. What would be helpful? I mean, it could be technical assistance with drip irrigation. It could be sharing tools, maybe things, implements that you don't have, and figuring out a way that we can share those as a cooperative. Or is it helping with marketing and business strategy? So this is just an open-ended section. Anybody want to go first?
This is Tim out at Acoma.
Yes, sir. Mr. Chavez?
Yeah, some of the things that I have put down as far as possible help in the future is a lot of our land in Indian country doesn't have much organic matter. So if we can somehow get assistance on having some maybe fertilizer from dairy farms brought in. And that way farmers can help themselves to that rather than using chemical fertilizer. The
That's
other
it.
thing was help in purchasing bulk seeds like beets and carrots. I know I used to talk to one of my coworkers in Zuni. They used to get help as a group, you know, to get their alfalfa seeds and stuff like that. So I thought maybe bulk seeds for beets and carrots that might help. And we got in late on some of the webinars that were going on recently, and I guess they've already had soil tests made available to some of the pueblos, courtesy of New Mexico State, and you know, we kind of missed out on that. So
So maybe certification might be helpful is getting in on that next year.
yeah, something like that. Yeah, and
Okay.
mhm,
Thank you, Mr. Chavez.
sure.
Other things that might be helpful, again, tool share, cooperatives, trainings, assistance with business or marketing, connections, anything that comes to mind that might be helpful. And it could be, you know, again, seeds, implements, it could be ensuring that there is seed stock, especially of local traditional seeds as well. Anything folks are thinking about?
Out here in Rama, like I said, we've been through the command center right now, through emergency response. We've been, you know, helping people who want to grow with providing them with seeds. So finding seed stock, we find out here in Rama that the best stocks are usually the heirloom seeds, or we've been getting heirloom seeds from other tribes and from other seed programs, and those have worked better out here. Like I said, we do have a few families, but I think in the long run for Rama, for the farmers and the producers we have out here, we would need some help with the business end, setting up a business, the marketing side of it for them. So that's one of the things we have done with the USDA, did some soil building workshops and things like that. So we've already started with that here. And we've just been kind of sharing information with people through handouts right now, because a lot of people don't have access to the internet. Just on basic composting from your kitchen, from your home, and also, techniques that you can use in your own home garden. We do have a few people that have applied for and were able to build their own hoop houses. So we've kind of got a foundation started. We just need some assistance, on helping them get to the point where they can sell.
That's really helpful. Thanks, Juliana. It sounds like there would be a variety of things that could help with Rama and probably some of the other chapters. Thank you. Any others?
Oh, hi. Hi, this is Natani Garninez.
How are you?
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
I'm great. Thanks for asking. So yeah, Keanu kind of introduced our project for us, but one of the things that we're focusing on in 2021 is trying to establish our farm here in Hogback. So my family, we own about 28, almost 29 acres of farmland. And the first steps we need to take is developing that so that we can actually utilize the farmlands. Because unfortunately, they've been sitting idle for about 8 to 9 years. So there's a lot of rehabilitation that needs to happen, as well as sort of just getting established as a farming business. So I think some of the things that we would need help with is a seed acquisition, some tools, as well as business development. And one component that we're really looking at is using permaculture design as a means to farm here on our parcel. So I think getting resources that would help us learn how to do that, as well as some of the actual physical, tangible things that would allow us to farm. If you are able to, I don't know, help us in any way with that, And then at the same time, we're also looking at possibly developing a CSA program here in Hogback, because after a little bit of research, I found that that doesn't exist. And at the same time, a lot of farmers don't really take their foods to a wholesale market. It's more farming stuff and then selling it on the side of the highway. And we want to try and bring actual food into the community and have it distributed as a sort of a tailored box for people. And since this is the first time that Keanu and I are kind of doing this on our own and have a little bit of experience growing up, but not a lot, I think that would be helpful, is the business planning as well as actual physical resource acquisitions.
That's great. Thank you, Natani. All of these are things I think this group can help with. Talking about a plan for your fields, getting fallow fields back working, talking a little bit about seed stock, what that looks like in different tribal communities, and even sharing between seed banks. I know many of our tribal communities, like at Acoma, are building up a significant seed bank of all sorts of seeds, but also heirloom varieties. And then, yeah, of course, tool share and implementation. What does that look like? How can we be sharing tools? You visit any tribal community and there's a lot of tractors and implements, and I think a lot of times it's underutilized. And so how can we be sharing some of those resources? And yeah, of course, business development. We definitely can, would love to talk more about that. So we can.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
For sure. Other things that folks are looking at, needs that you'd like to share, any goals for 2021, or even talking about what types of crops?
I'd like to chime in.
Bryce?
Yeah, thanks. I think we need to think of Native American food systems as a whole. And that's going to require human capital, utilizing our human capital. And we have all of it in our Native American communities. So and also just food system as a whole, we also have to think of it as a localized food system. New Mexico is really spread out, and if we're trying to do one thing to fit under one umbrella, that's going to be hard here. So I think if we can create some types of regional system here in New Mexico, that might be something we think about. And it will need to incorporate all of the idea of a cooperative and tool sharing, getting seed together, irrigation supplies. But the main thing it's going to come down to is the people. And like I said, we have it. This is our opportunity to utilize our youth, our elders, everybody that has knowledge in the traditional, contemporary knowledge of getting this economy going. And this agricultural endeavor is going to be the way to get all of our economies going. And I think specifically for Pueblo tribes that have agricultural lands and that have access to water. So utilizing the resources we have to their maximum, I think we can make a huge change. So that's what I wanted to add. But I guess a question I would like to pose is, where do all of our people fit into this food system? Where do the kids fit into this? Where do the elders fit into this? That's what we need to figure out. And where do all of us fit into this equation? So that's what I would like to share. Thanks.
Thanks, Bryce. I think that kind of hits the nail on the head. I mean, that's really it. Is this comes down to how are we investing in people? There's so many folks that are unemployed or underemployed that want to be doing work, want to be raising a family with a family supporting wage. So how are we building a market so that when folks are in the field, when they're harvesting, they can sell that produce and support their family? And I think that is really exciting. It's an opportunity for all of our tribal communities. So I agree completely. It's our elders, it's our youth, it's folks that are incarcerated. Some of the gardens that are happening in communities are working with young people in the juvenile justice system so that when they come out, they are, reintegrated into community, have some skills, and are working with their elders. So I think there's a lot of promise moving forward, especially now, because we're really starting to see that we have to invest in these food systems. If another pandemic were to hit, we wouldn't know if we could rely on our current food system. So thank you. Other thoughts, questions, goals?
I have a question.
Sure, go ahead.
Is there a place or a resource where individuals that are just learning about indigenous farmers or want to support farmers, is there a way that they can find their closest farmer in their area or where they're listed? You know how small, like some of the flyers that have been going around on social media is like a listing of like, here's all the indigenous small businesses you can support during the holiday season. Is there something similar to that where somebody can look at a listing or click on a link that can take somebody to a place where they can say, I want fresh food, or I want to see how far it is from me? Is there anything like that exists right now?
So I've heard of a couple national directories for folks in farming, native folks in farming, and also value added people that are making products. But I think Vicky, I'm not sure if you know of anything, or Jake, if you know of anything locally. I think that might be something that would be great to build locally.
Yeah, that's a great question, Rebecca. And boy, did you get my mind going, because it's definitely something that's needed. And, I've been doing this work for so many years, and this is the first time I'm meeting almost all of you. So there isn't a resource out there that tells us where there are native farmers across the state. And I think that that's really important. And it just occurred to me that some of you are working with other farmers too that are also not listed anywhere, and they're working on small plots of land, even if they just have a garden. So I'm putting a big star next to that comment in the notes that I'm taking. Thank you.
Yeah, and I'll just share, of course, we have intertribal, ag councils. There's Facebook groups, I know specifically, that just started up here in Albuquerque, connecting local farmers and gardeners together. A lot of initiatives, of course, Center for Southwest Culture, sure, have a list of the farmers that they work with. But again, that might be a capacity issue, right? Of like, how many native farmers do we know have a website up, or a way that people can contact them? So maybe that's something, that we could work on together, right? Is just providing that online presence for farmers. I've participated in collective crowdfunding campaigns as well. So that could be created where it shows their needs, what they'll use with the funds, how much they're looking for. And of course, I have my Green Fire Times right now, because that's always a great resource for native farmers. And Skeets Farm was just showcased in the last Green Fire Times, and there's an ask, of what they need for their farm. So, just ideas, but I think that's a great idea, Rebecca. And hey, Kaz, I would love to hear from you too, if there's anything, any need that you have. And a lot of respect. And if you all don't know, he's also an awesome MC. I always have to bring that up because you got me inspired to be a farmer too. So.
Well, hi everyone. I was with the children during the introductions. My name is Justin, from Jemez Pueblo. I don't know. I'm just excited actually for this next year, because I've been in school for the last 4 years, and I kind of just I did a little bit, but not like how it used to be. a few years back. So I'm really excited this next season to just hit it good, man. And I have some projects that I have in mind that I'm doing, and I'll definitely link you guys on some stuff that I'm trying to work on. So other than that, I'm just excited to just push forward here in the next few seasons and see how I can get things rolling again. But yeah, that's about it really. Just happy to see everybody on here. Yeah, it's good, man. Good feeling.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Any other thoughts, folks, looking at in the new year, places where you could use assistance or even just, excitement about new techniques or new crops? I know some folks are already moving into hemp, and so that's exciting, of course, but anything that folks are excited about?
One thing that we're really focusing on the last year and into next year is a lot of research. And our whole focus is really how can we get a lot of these foods, including the meats, more nutrient rich. And so we're looking at our feeds, we're taking feeds that have been grown in fertilizer and fermenting them, but we'd love to get some research done on how much that fermentation removes fertilizers and how much it increases the bionutrient availability to the animals. And just even with the growing in the garden, looking, are our foods really nutrient rich? How nutrient rich? And we're looking at trying to get new tests and new research opportunities, or just looking across the board, because that's the one thing that I think all of us agree on, that we're really lacking the nutrient density in our foods, and all the local growers and gardeners and farmers. So it's really neat to see people really wanting to do that again, because a lot of it's going to come from the small farmers and the local growers.
Absolutely. That's exciting, Joyce. Thank you.
Keegan, before we leave this subject, I'd just like to ask a question. There are some really good ideas coming out of this discussion in terms of building a directory, which is a resource where people can begin to talk to each other and share ideas. Some of the needs for various seeds and various technologies are really important. And it all is dependent on where people fit into that food system. The question I'd like to raise is the sensitive subject of money. And are there issues or concerns or challenges that occur in this group about where you might like to have some help in terms of how you manage your money, how you plan your money, cost of production? Do you know if you're making money or not? Some people do and some people don't. Things like that. So I just want to kind of put that out on the table and see if that's an area of interest, or an area where there might be some needs.
Hi, it's me again, finally. We do I heard something about seeds. I sent out a lot of seeds, close to 4,000 seeds, the beginning of the year. And it's every seeds, probably I'd say about, oh my gosh, it was just a lot. And I do still have some at the office, and just trying to figure out what else to do, because it's cold, no more planting right now. And oh shoot, go. But I'm like really interested in a lot of the things that you guys are talking about, and we do take requests for like just little grants, probably like about $2,000, or depending on what kind of needs you guys have. And And like I said, we do help a lot of these little gardens start up, and then the gardens go out. And I've seen, what did she say, Spirit Farm? Yeah, and that was mentioned in one of my conversations. And we did work with I get the gal in Gallup, and she said that's how they started growing a lot of the places. And I think Shama's Learning Center too in Gallup somewhere. So it's kind of neat to hear some of the stuff already that we've been doing this, and we've been doing it for a while. But we do, like I said, with the chefs and stuff like that too. So if we do classes, and where we also give incentives to whoever's part of your organization or groups and kids. And we did a lot of stuff with the kids, just with indigenous foods, and what does it mean to you? Does it what kinds of stuff do you do? And the plant, a lot of like I said, just a lot of the fresh foods, and just doing a garden. I did part of the garden here in the valley, and it's not easy. And it's just not easy. They gave us an 80 foot row, and I could only do 40. It's a lot of work. But I'm, like I said, I'm very interested, and I'm with partnership with Native Americans, and hopefully get to go do some visits. And we did fund Hamus Senior Center with some money and stuff like that, so they can start their gardens. And I did hear Hamus. So we're pretty much everywhere, trying to get everywhere, and I'm always looking for people to help.
That's awesome. Thank you, Donna.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. And it looks like in the chat we had a couple of folks, Juliana and Natani, mentioning that financial planning and support for business growth would be helpful. So as Peter mentioned, that's definitely something that this partnership can help with. So we're a little bit over time, but I wanted to really quickly circle back to the section in red right here, the program overview and values. So again, this partnership between Mount Taylor Organic, MoGrow, New Mexico Community Capital is designed to support Native farmers in communities throughout the state. And we wanted to have this initial meeting be an assessment to kind of learn what would be helpful for you. So thank you again for spending some time and telling us a little bit about what you might need in the new year. We're going to have these meetings frequently, hopefully monthly moving forward. And so there'll be an opportunity to talk more about what your needs are evolving to be, especially as we get into the spring and planting season. So this is just the first of many meetings, and in future meetings, we'll be talking about what are some of those resources that we can assist with, whether it's business planning, writing a business plan, marketing, helping to market your produce, or a cooperative tool share, seed banking and seed sharing. So really great ideas from you all tonight. Thank you. Vicky, Jake, Peter, any other comments or questions that folks might have before we start wrapping up?
Yeah, thanks, Keegan. Thank you all again for all your input. As I said in the comments, I'm taking notes on everything. It's super helpful to hear so much of this. And we would love for you, if you're interested in continuing to be a part of all of this work and getting resources through this USDA program that we have, we will be sending out a survey to the farmers that are interested in growing, not just growing produce, but growing your farms, and getting connected to bigger markets, potentially wholesale markets, especially with MoGrow and their distribution. And if you would be interested in doing that, we will send out that survey to you now that you've registered. We have your contact information, and that will give us a better picture of each of your individual farms and your needs, what you're growing, and what your capacity is to grow. Some of you have many acres that if you had the ability and capacity for it, you could actually grow a lot more. So we want to know all of that information. So I encourage you to fill out that survey for us, and we'll send that out in the coming weeks. And then we hope to have more of these info sessions, as Keegan said, but our overarching goal here is really to just give you some information and to start getting to know you all, and we'll continue to grow the work that we're doing with New Mexico Community Capital, MoGrow, and Keegan's farm as well. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much for sharing. Just because, you know, we have two awesome technical assistance people from Center of Southwest Culture help create cooperatives and have a tool sharing program. Anything that you'd like to share with us? Any lessons learned? Any ways that we could collaborate potentially in the future?
Jose, I don't know if you want to speak to that, but I will just say, yeah, like we've had pretty awesome success so far, like with being able to help farmers with acquiring seeds, mostly through big suppliers like High Mowing and Johnny Seeds primarily. So that is definitely something that we should be able to help farmers with in the future. So that's a resource for you all. And please feel free to reach out to us if we can help you in any way with that. The other thing, we have slowly been trying to build a tool sharing program. Mostly it's been rototillers. We've been trying to build into our budget, acquiring a walk behind tractor that we'd be able to share between farmers. So that's kind of in the works right now for 2021. I'd say the challenges that we've had with that so far are, yeah, just kind of like maintenance issues. Maybe farmers not knowing exactly how to use the equipment. So we're trying to develop some resources for farmers to keep them educated, you know, on how to use the stuff that they're being lent out. Keeping things on a schedule as much as we can so that we can at least kind of keep track of things. But yeah, it's kind of a work in progress, a system that we're trying to build on. So yeah, we would definitely, I think, be interested in collaborating. If your organization, Jake, or anybody else want to collaborate on something, because yeah, I mean, we're based in Albuquerque, so the more different tools that we can get to the different areas that really need them, the better, and the more successful all of our Indigenous farmers can be. So yeah, we're totally on board with that.
Awesome, thank you, thanks for sharing.
Yeah, funny enough, not too long ago, I think like a week ago, Emma and I had a meeting with our executive director, and we were just talking about you, Jake, and the organization that you work for, and like really applying what Mr. Peter was talking about having that ability of, do you know if you're making money or not? All that budgeting, because we do offer some of that, but I mean, there's a lot to farming. There's a lot to any business really, and we don't want to become masters at every single subject, even if we could. I don't know if we could. So I think there is definitely some ways of working together from here on out, especially when it comes to business. There's always something new to learn. So yeah, I would highly appreciate maybe, you know, connecting soon and then seeing what we could work together in. Let's see. Yeah, just like Emma said, we just like any other organization, there's a lot of things that we learn. Some things are positives and things that, you know, we just got to learn and do a little bit different. When it comes to opening businesses, we helped at least, I believe it's around 20 cooperatives get started. Just like the NRCS will tell you, most cooperatives fail, but it's mostly on people to people kind of thing. One of the bigger cooperatives that we are so happy to work with this year is oh shoot, I'm forgetting their name, Emma, right now. Tell me, help me, Emma.
We're working with the Shiprock traditional.
Shiprock. There you go.
Julian Gloria.
If you don't know them, you will soon. They're huge, and we are really hopeful for next year to develop and help more farmers next year. This year, I think we worked with around 40 farms at different aspects. Some farmers need a lot of technical assistance, and some just need some drip tape. So yeah, it's all over the place, and we're happy to do it.
Awesome. Thank you, Jose, for sharing. I'm going to sign me up for the walk behind tiller. We've been meaning to call you, and I still have the irrigation supplies that you all gave us at one of your trainings. So thank you. I'm also just going to share from Skeet's Farm in the Green Fire Times of just things that they talked about. Of course, planting cover crops, seed drills, ATVs to pull seed drills. I don't know if anyone else is using ATVs to do that, but that sounds interesting. Water sequestration tanks and gutter capture rainwater, and then large shipments of straw and organic materials for mulching, 100+ pallets to use as windbreaks and water barrels. Just if that resonates with anyone, it's just some ideas, supplies they put in wish list. And know that, you know, we're asking because there are going to be future opportunities that include financial resources, training, collaboration. So we just want to say a special thank you all for everyone that's sharing, and would love to reach out again in the new year.
Awesome. Well, thank you guys again for joining. We will be sending out a follow-up survey. So check your emails, and we'll be scheduling some more meetings. So when you see another meeting invite, please invite others, folks that you know are farming this year. And we'll talk more about all of these different resources and how we can help each other in the new year. So with that, I think that's it. Any other questions, closing comments?
Juliana had a comment in the chat box, Keegan, about your conversation with Governor Chavarria.
Okay, let me see. Juliana, what, can you read it? I can't see it.
Juliana, I was wondering how I can help my community farmers more next season, and hopefully Mr. King can share info on what Governor Chavarria and him talked about today.
Yeah, absolutely. So what I've been hearing from a lot of our tribal leadership is increased interest in building resilient food systems. So how can we invest in our local farmers? How can we ensure that we have enough seed stock to get us through a full year? So that's enough seed for every man, woman, and child in our tribal communities. So I think one thing that we can start working on is, do we have a policy in place to build those seed banks, to have enough seed stock for one full year? I think the other thing to think about is, are our local schools, as Justin and Rebecca talked about, procuring from our local farmers? Is there a connection there? Same with senior centers. Is there a connection there? So how are we putting good policy in place to support farmers? So those are some of the things that, you know, tribal leaders have been talking about, is how do we invest in those, in our local farmers? And so part of it is making sure that there's an incentive to do it. How do we make sure that people are able to get a fair wage, a fair market value for their produce? And so that's why I'm really excited to be working with Mogro and Shelby and Josh on this project, because we want to make sure that people that are doing this hard work are getting paid a fair wage. So really exciting. I think in the future, we may be asking some of our tribal leaders to come and talk a little bit more about that and what programs they have in place to support farmers. But in general, I think what we're going to start seeing is that tribes are going to start purchasing a lot more from local farmers. So we just need to put all of the systems in place so that we're ready for that. So I think those are some great ideas that everybody had tonight. We'll capture all of this. We'll send out notes, and also another meeting invite in the future. Again, thank you for taking some time tonight. We appreciate you guys.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everybody. Good stuff. Just the beginning of something great.
Thank you. Good night.
Bye.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you. Bye-bye.